Hi everyone, I hope that you are all having a good week. On my end, my very, very, very dear to my heart uncle, Robbie, passed away in the early hours of this morning. He was very, very dear to me and played a very pivotal role in my life at a time where I found myself at a crossroads, where I felt on the brink of allowing myself to become completely consumed by a world I didn't actually want to be in. And it was my Uncle Robbie who interjected and brought me back home, so to speak. Back to the light. And I want to just talk a bit about my beliefs regarding life after death, because let's be honest, this is not a topic we can avoid. It never has been, but I think that, for a while maybe, among certain circles, we could sort of distract ourselves for a while at least. But the reality is it's on all our minds. We are all aware of the fact that one day we will die, and one day those we love will leave us. And it is this question that has plagued me my entire life. And so I don't know about you guys, and when you started really thinking about it. But for me, it happened very early on. I was quite a morbid kid. And I guess I was always aware that there was a lot more around than meets the eye, and aware that what I was experiencing was perhaps, not entirely, visible to the naked eye. And I think if it hadn't been for great friends and people around me at the time that shared in some of those experiences, I probably would have thought I was entirely crazy. But it's led me down a path of awakening of sorts and further investigation, where you really start to question, what's real and what's not. I was brought up Catholic, but always had a lot of questions about the Bible. But I believe in, finding out for oneself, what is true to you, and living a life that is true to you. And I think we can't avoid doing that. And I really promote just absolute diversity and inclusivity of everyone in all the different ways that we come, because nowadays, there are so many of us that are sort of feeling so outside and so different because perhaps we don't fit into any particular mold. And I think the only way to overcome that is for us to start speaking up, like I've started doing, and many others, where you start to own, maybe the parts of you that you previously dismissed or hid away from society and the world for fear of being rejected. So despite being brought up Catholic, I, at a young age, always believed in reincarnation for some reason. So I wasn't taught that. And I guess for me, it just made the most sense. And also because I suppose I just thought there's no way we can cover it all in one lifetime. And I also sort of didn't understand why it had to be in contradiction with the understanding of what Jesus taught, because as far as I understood, my interpretation of his teachings were a little bit different. I also know that, there is such a thing as that there is no such thing as being able to relive a moment. So if I tell you a story in that moment, I don't care how wonderful your memory is. It's a fact. Your brain will not be able to, my brain wouldn't be able to recall in complete, completely and entirely accurate manner. Well, what happens is your brain starts to reconstruct what happens to give you insight into it at a later stage as you try to recall. Now, I'm not no neuroscientist and definitely not a doctor, but this is from my understandings of how the brain works. So your memory after an event is not even entirely reliable. So it's like broken telephone. So my point is that, it's always subject to someone's perspective and what the perspectives were at the time that Jesus was around and what was written in the Bible thereafter. And so, as you can imagine, I can bother people and have a lot of questions, and that makes people feel unsettled. But among that is also my sort of belief that that I believe is very supported now, more and more so, even in the world of physics, because really, if energy cannot die and it can only change form, then we can actually safely now know that, then death is not real. It cannot be, because energy, we are energy. That's what Einstein showed us with his famous equation, E=mc². We are energy. Energy cannot die. It simply changes form. And I have had these moments, and yes, you are welcome to call me crazy. I have been to psychiatrists. I haven't been diagnosed with anything. But I have felt moments in my life where I have imagined very tangibly a time where I might have been somebody else, or even a tree, or a plant, or an animal. And it is through those experiences that have felt very real that I have awoken to this truth of how connected we all are. And furthermore, I believe that as long as you are of love, you can be rest assured that there is no death. I cannot tell you where you go, what you become, what happens next, but all I can say, what I feel so strongly, is that there is no way this is the end when you die. It's a transition. Where you go, I'm not sure. But if we love each other, will we see one another again? Absolutely. And do I feel my Uncle Robbie here still? More than ever. And that's what's true to me. And I think we should feel free with sharing what's true for us and feel safe to do that. Because within each of us is a part and a piece of divinity. And until we start accepting, embracing, and loving one another, how can we ever go back to the source, go back to God? And I believe that is not in contradiction with what Jesus was trying to teach. That's my interpretation of it. So yeah, there's my share. For those who get all the way to the end, thank you. Know that I greatly appreciate you holding space for me and hearing me. And I'm available if you want to chat. I can't always respond or consistently, but I appreciate you.